have Kalpesh today on our yellow couch. Kalpesh, welcome to the famous yellow couch.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you very much, and thank you very much for having me today.
You are so welcome. We're the ones who are lucky to have you, actually. And Kalpesh is telling us that the first hour of his day is the most productive, right? So we have the most productive hours of his day.
Indeed.
Which is really cool. Okay, so right now you're the MD of Oryx, right? And I know you've had so many leadership positions in different companies. Oryx is a leading brand in what they do. And I wanted to know, although you have heard good news being a leader for many different companies, how did you know, how are you told that you are now going to be the MD of Oryx? And just tell us the story behind that.
Interesting question. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me in my very productive hour. Oryx. So my career started quite early, and after my last role at Serengeti Breweries, I kind of had given up corporate roles.
Okay.
So I was sitting on the boards of various organizations.
Okay.
And then the opportunity came along, I think end of last year, Oryx looking for a CEO. So my initial reaction was, I'm happy what I'm doing.
Okay.
But after having a conversation with the firm, and it's a Geneva-based company, with the role what's involved, it kind of excited me. And it took me back to my very early role that I had with BP.
Okay.
So it's an industry that I know. So it was good to be back. And I think the way I got the role, I think firstly the process itself, it was a long process, but it wasn't like interviews in a sense. It wasn't like, it was just conversations that we were having. So the journey was very good. And I think good thing is, like, once you accept it, you just want to be on the seat and start delivering it. So I think that's what's been energizing me too.
Okay.
For the role at Oryx.
Okay, and so when you were told that you were the MD, who was the first person that you told?
My wife.
Ah, that was a trick question.
I got that right, hopefully.
Okay, great. So in addition to being the managing director, you're also a board member, right, for many other boards. But before we started on this yellow couch, we were talking about work-life balance. And you were telling me the story of how you're able to balance work and 6 women in your life. Please just clarify what 6 women means for the audience, and tell us, how are you able to balance you sit on so many boards, and you're an MD, and you have a family. How do you do that?
So firstly about the 6 women, because that might be a trick question as well.
Yeah, it is.
So first, I'm very privileged to have 6 women in my life, 6 very close women in my life.
Yeah.
My wife, to start with, my mother, our 3 girls, and last but not least, our dog.
Their dog.
Yeah, so we've got 6 women in our lives. How do I balance work? How do I balance my roles? I think it's about time management and commitment. I think once you commit, you need to give the time. But more importantly is if you enjoy what you do, everything falls in its own place.
True.
Work-life balance, what I've learned over the years is that work will never end. I mean, you can continue working every time, but work will never end. And especially with the tools that we have now, I think we carry work home.
True.
So it's about disciplining yourself and what is important for the day. If you set your tone right at work-life balance, I think your team will also follow that as well. So that usually works for me.
Okay, so that's work and life balance. But then you have a full-time role as a managing director, but you're also on many boards. How do you balance that?
So firstly, you choose how many boards you sit in, because you do get opportunities coming along all the time.
Okay.
But it's choosing how many you can commit to. And I think usually the boards are on a quarterly basis, so you can plan that out very well. Usually for me it works is Saturday morning I plan out to do all the other things that I need to do, catch up for the week.
Yeah.
So it's planning ahead and it's working. You're making sure that you give time to your family, which is very important.
Yes.
Dinner conversations are very important, especially with 6 women. You can understand.
Yeah,
well,
true.
5 of them talk. You can imagine how much there is ongoing every day. So I think it's time management. It's just dedicating your time. Rules like no phones on the tables. You can go ahead.
Okay.
But yeah, that's, I think it's just time management, disciplining yourself.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so I might be saying so much here, but MD, member of so many boards, you're also the Honorary Consul of New Zealand to Tanzania. I also don't know what that means. Can you please explain to us what that means?
So that just came recently. appointed by the New Zealand government to represent the government of New Zealand in Tanzania.
Okay.
Since they don't have an embassy here, they work through consuls. So what do I do as a consul of New Zealand? First and foremost, I look after the New Zealanders, people of New Zealand, the Kiwis in Tanzania.
Okay.
Be they the residents or the incoming tourists or people that are coming in.
Okay.
Secondly, looking at the bilateral relations between the two countries, how you can promote trade and expertise and knowledge for the two. Thirdly, it's representing the government of New Zealand in Tanzania. So, for example, if there's just meetings, official meetings and things like that.
Yeah.
And last but not least is consul work, in a sense, consular work. If anybody requires how to get visas and all that, I don't issue visas, but through the South African High Commission, we issue visas from there.
Okay.
So helping the people to get to New Zealand, which is a beautiful country, by the way.
Okay. That is what we call the octolife here at Empower. Having an octolife, like being an octopus. Doing
Indeed,
so many
things
at the same time. Okay. Now, taking a step back, you've worked also for SPL, you've worked for BP, now known as Puma, you've worked for Airtel and many other companies, but now you're with Oryx, and Oryx is also a well-known brand, not only in Tanzania, but outside Tanzania as well. So my first question is, how do you plan to ensure that Oryx remains a well-known brand in Tanzania? And how do you think that working for these other well-known brands has positioned you to be able to do that?
Interesting question as well. So when I was working for BP, I'm just going to get a little bit of history first and then I'll come to Oryx. I was working for BP, I think apart from the first one in Tanzania, I was working for BP in South Africa and in the UK, but that was usually in upstream, so you're not close to the brand as such.
Okay.
It hit me first when I came back in Tanzania to work for Airtel. And suddenly I became a living, walking call center because everybody has something to say about the brand. Oh, my phone's not working, this not working. So I realized the impact of brand because everybody has a phone and either it's one of the 3 or 4 SIMs, but everybody sees your brand every day.
Yes.
So it's like millions of people are reaching out to you. So that made me brand conscious about what we have to do as a brand, what we have to carry.
Yeah.
Having worked for Serengeti Breweries, love the brand. Airtel, love the brand. Oryx, love the brand. I think it starts with ourselves. It starts with our passion. If we like it, we suddenly feel the energy going out and everybody will start loving it.
Yeah.
So first is ourselves, disciplining, positioning the brand. People who are working for you needs to be passionate. I think that will automatically spread the things. And then working out to see how do we roll the brand out. Fortunate enough to work for Oryx, a brand which is obviously, so I look after the lubricants business, the fuel business. We also have a gas business, which is a retail, which is like home to home. People are really touching their brand Oryx.
Yeah.
So fortunate enough to have a brand which is well outreached. And continue doing the good things. Consumers should have a right experience when they feel your brand.
That is very true. So I actually have a story about Oryx. I think yesterday I was in an Uber in a Bajaj and this driver asked me, can we please use a longer route because there's a place I want to pass by? And I was like, okay, because I'm nice, fine, let's go through the longer route. And so we go and I realize he wants to pass by an Oryx fuel station. So in my head I'm like, okay, is it that he likes Oryx? There's so many other fuel stations. Did he really have to make us go this long route for Oryx? I'm like, I'm gonna ask him. Did you come here just for a fuel station or did you come here for Oryx? And he's like, the only fuel that gets into my Bajaj is from Oryx. And I was like, why? And he says, whenever I put the fuel, it lasts longer than any other fuel from any of the other brands that are there. So I am doing a bit of marketing for
Thank you very much. I'm very happy for the brand that we're getting this morning.
Yeah.
And for dedicated consumers that we have out there.
Exactly, yeah.
To take care. It puts even more pressure on us now. We work
you
harder.
have to make, yes, true.
Work harder for that. Thank you
now, for all the other brands that you've worked with, you were in finance positions, mostly CFO positions, right?
That's right.
And speaking to some MDs, I've also seen some kind of correlation between people having a current position as an MD and then having a background in finance. Do you think that having a background in finance helps in any way for you to position yourself as a managing director, or is it just a coincidence?
Well, it definitely helps. I think finance background definitely helps you. It makes your life a little bit easier because you know the finance is taken care of in your daily role, but it's not your full-time job. So finance is one part of it, but it's because you have done that role before. It takes care of it. But I think more importantly, the finance roles that I started my career with was very traditional finance role, i.e. you are in the back office.
Okay.
The finance role that I left, my last finance role was very different, was literally it's more of a commercial and strategy role, because you are using your financial knowledge to help the company drive its strategy, and you're looking ahead. So for me, that role, the traditional role of finance director, is not what it's now today. It's completely changed, it's shifted, which makes transitioning to the MD roles very easy as well.
Okay, great. And being a leader most of your life, what is the one thing that you can share with us that you have learned always to do, and the one thing that you have learned never to do as a leader?
So, never to do first. Everyone has a talent.
Okay.
Every individual work for you has a talent. So never disrespect people.
Okay.
Everybody has a talent. It's just finding the right talent for the right job that you have at hand.
Okay.
And once you get that right, you will see the machine just works by itself.
Okay.
Because people become energized, they really want to do what they do, they love what they do. You have fun in delivering the results, and that's important. So it's respecting the people for what they bring to the table, helping people in their careers to get to bigger and better things in life. There's nothing much more joy that gives to me to see that people I work with are in very good positions. It just inspires me, and it just inspires me because I just think, wow, that's it's not me, it's a person's hard work that has got them there.
And you see their growth.
See them the growth. So for me, that's what keeps me energized.
Okay, so seeing people grow, and then the one thing never to do is not to disrespect people. Okay, and did you always plan on being a managing director? Did you have like a clear path that you're like, I'm going to do this and this and this, and by the end of 10 years or by the time I get to this age, I must be a managing director? Or is it something that happened organically?
You know, my girls are in a stage right now where they ask, what course should I do so that I can get to what degree I need to do.
Okay.
And I was reflecting on my career at that time, because the opportunities of those days were very simple, in a sense, very easy. You can either do A-levels, physics, chemistry, maths, or physics, chemistry, biology, or you were just given 3 subjects. There's no choices in life. And I did one of those, and then when I was going to university, I had some other passion at that time. But then I asked my friends, where are you guys going? And they went to Manchester. So I ended up going to Manchester to follow my friends. So the reason I'm sharing this is that I hadn't planned it, but I think it's just enjoying what you do gets you much further.
Okay. Let's move on to a more fun section, which is our trivia section. I will ask you a few fun questions.
Look forward to it.
And you have to answer them in 15 seconds.
Okay.
Okay. The first one is, what time do you get up in the morning and how do you start your day?
6 o'clock. Start with taking the dog out.
The one woman in your life.
One woman in my life, the first one.
Great.
She gets her first privilege.
And what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, follow my friends.
You wanted to?
Follow my friends.
Okay. And what is your favorite non-sports related activity?
Oh, non-sport. I guess spending time with near and dear ones.
Okay, nice. And if you were to pick a theme song for your life, what song would you pick?
Stand By Me.
Stand By Me. Okay. And what is the one class that everyone in business should take?
Work with teams.
Work with teams, true. Android or iPhone?
iPhone.
Okay. What app could you not live without and why?
That's a good question because there's so many apps on the phone.
So many apps, but one app that you can't live without.
News.
News.
I watch BBC.
BBC News, okay. And what is the one type of food that you hate and you can't stand?
Cauliflower.
Cauliflower. I second that.
There you go.
I do. If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
I guess go just send everybody on a long vacation.
Send everyone on a long vacation.
I think we all need to let our hair down at some point.
We need to get you that superpower. Okay, last question. It's a trick question. Where do you fuel your car?
It has to be only one place.
Where?
Which is Oryx.
Okay, great. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much, Kalpesh, for joining us. See you next time on our next session.
Thank
Bye.
you very much.